Hello, everyone. So I am channeling Alfalfa today, and I'm not mad. Oh, excuse me. So I'm gonna get right into this. If I can stop yawning. So, oh, this little bright. I can't control the overhead light anymore because she likes to reset every 3 seconds. But I can reduce the brightness so that hopefully this is a little easier to see. Okay, maybe not too much. Should I reduce contrast as well? Increase contrast? Oof, no. Let's set this back to the defaults. We'll just kick the brightness down a little bit. There we go. That'll have to do. That'll do, little donkey. I don't know how he said that. I should watch Shrek. This Queen of Wands is here. I was just watching. Oh, oh goodness! When I pulled up the camera to change the settings, the view was a lot different. I was like, "Oh, hold up!" I was like, "Wait, this is the preview window." Okay, who was that? Not seeing the full picture. Oh, that full picture just freaked me out. Okay. So the Queen of Wands is here, and I was just watching Lauren the Untitled Tarot, the video that she did yesterday when she was live. What was it called? It's literally right here. Gemini season before you go and adjusting to a new normal. And it was the part where she was talking about the return of old magics, and it feels like that's sort of what this Queen of Wands is doing. She's bringing an old magic back that's going to cause things that have been stuck in a season of dormancy to bloom, literally corresponding to the element of life and bringing color back to the world, right? And I say corresponding to the element of life because we see the flowers in her waving of that magic wand, and everything around her is sort of, sticky. And I don't know, there's ooh, Two of Cups. See, the Two of Cups came out yesterday. And then here are those flowers again. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Pentacles. I feel like I'm just getting the same message. Sometimes it's a little different, or it goes a little deeper. But it's just like divine energy being able to be whole again in this place, because it's present in both feminine and masculine aspect. But this also speaks to the state of sort of self and what we prioritize. Let's see, let's just go for it. And I know that, like, one thing that I was thinking about yesterday is, like, I know that history has been not great for a lot of people, for, like, severely not great. See, there she is again! Thank you, because I felt you were related, but you weren't at the bottom of the deck anymore, so. Okay, this is what we're starting with. Let's see what's possible. Although history has been very unkind to a lot of people, I guess, find it interesting that, I could have the DNA lineage that I have. I feel like low-key I have Norse Mayan on my father's side and then Druidic Shaman on my mother's side. Through the Native American and Spanish Portuguese on my father's side. Also, I have Scandinavian on that side. And then it's Native American and Irish on my mother's side. As well as a whole bunch of stuff in Southeast Asia, apparently, that I have no idea about. And I'm like, how did that get in here? Wait. So it's just time for me to explore and be open to many things. And also to start using those sacred spaces again. Like, I don't know what I would do with the third one, and I don't really like the fourth one, if I'm being completely honest. The Magician This is the Nahuales. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I have a book that's literally right here. I'm going to read the book today instead of putting it on my phone. So, The Magician. Here the magician of traditional tarot takes the form of a Nahual, a Mexican witch or sorcerer who has the ability to transform into an animal at will. That is so funny. Nahuales are a traditional part of Mexican belief in both indigenous and mestizo culture. They are gender fluid with the beard of a man, but with the hairstyle and earrings of a woman. They have the ability to transform not only into a beast, but to change their gender as well. They hold the four elements of the four suits, the wand, the cup, the pentacle, and the sword, for they have control over all the necessary elements to manifest their intentions. They stand on a cliff face overlooking a village, for they are between the heavens and the earth, and have access to both. They move through the world of the spirit and the world of men, and have found wisdom and knowledge. What is this? That's interesting. So on the next page, I guess Polyphay. This is Polyphay's signature. But it bled through. And I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. It might. So it looked like there was a rune. Yeah, you can see it. It looked like, if I can get this in the light. There we go. It looked like there was a rune under the entry for the Nahuales. Or the Nahual, the magician. And I was like, whoa, where'd that rune come from? See, that's this, exactly. Feminine and masculine both present, and it's tapping into both. But it feels like the closer we get to healing and setting both divine feminine and divine masculine energy together and like setting them sort of in a position to whatever, it's going to change things even more, because it's like that's how far separate we are from them. And I think that's it. This is the child that's born of their union. Bottom of the deck is that Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands being a sacred journey that has challenge and difficulty, but there's also purpose here. And that's the thing. This card has been coming out a lot lately too, and it's carrying that like higher self energy. Also, this Ten of Wands is more, let me read it. I'm pretty sure it's more like androgynous, which would fit the masculine, feminine. Also, change your mind is just in my head. I don't need you to respect me, I respect me. But I want you to know you can know me if you change your mind. Temperance under this. There's that temperance energy again. She's coming out a lot lately too. The Ten of Wands card shows a man who has lived a life of banishment and pain. People scorned him for being blessed with the balance of male, female, young, and old qualities. Dreaming, hoping, and searching, he journeyed to the highest mountains, to the realm of the gods, to ask them why he had to suffer. The gods placed a crown made of 10 wands upon his head. They kissed his mind with truth, and he saw that the gods always choose strong and beautiful souls to suffer, for those are the people with the power to withstand it. Through his ordeal, the man gained wisdom. He realized that he needed to live through his suffering in order to help others with theirs. The man turned his burdens into blessings. Now he looks back as he faces forward, feeling the miracles of his life. Take your greatest burdens and turn them into your greatest blessings is the divine meaning here. This is by Dr. Frankie Dolan. And it's coming through as like this sort of higher, I don't want to say lower, the self and the higher self, and the return home to whatever that is. And again, like there's that wisdom. that comes through. So that was a little bit of before we get into this, whatever. Ooh. But I want you to know you can know me. Ooh, the 401s. Oh, snap. If you change your mind. Is that the sun? Oh, it is. Mind. If you change your mind. Change your mind. Okay, let's do this quick. I kind of want to do a solstice thing, but I don't know. Oh, and we got yin and yang. Okay, so I could have kept all the cards on the table. So the 19th is Emancipation Day in Texas. Also Juneteenth now. That's a federal holiday, so catch that on the calendar next year. Orthodox Pentecost is the 20th. Summers begins on the 20th. Father's Day is on the 20th, and West Virginia Day is on the 20th. It's the summer solstice, Father's Day, and Jupiter is going retrograde. According to Chinese philosophy, yin and yang are interconnected, opposite forces that govern life. Together, they create balance. Yang, the male positive active element, is at its strongest during the summer solstice. That makes sense. The Two of Cups again. Bottom of the deck is the Fool. I mean, it's so, yeah, everything that I already said about these two energies working together. Interconnected, opposite forces that govern life. Together, they create balance. And I feel like, again, it's like there are certain balances that cannot be violated. Certain things that are so sort of like quantumly interconnected that it's like you can't have one without the presence of the other, which is what raises a question to me whenever it's like there's a divine feminine energy connected to something that's less than divine. Because it's like, well, does that make sense? Like, is that something that, let's ask, I guess, the card. I want to ask Siri, but who was that? Oh my gosh, you will not believe the card that just flipped over. You see that? That Queen of Wands again. Two of Cups, Queen of Wands again. This time the Queen of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. Hello? I don't think who was that? I'm not gonna take it, I'll look at it. Temperance. Oh, okay. That's that balance between both. It's alchemy, right? With it being alchemy, if we look at it like, let's say that the masculine is the oxygen, well, I guess technically the masculine would be the hydrogen because the hydrogen is more positively charged. And this says positive here, so the oxygen is the negative. It's like if you don't have a proper balance between oxygen and hydrogen, you're not going to get water. You're not going to get that H2O, right? If it's just HO, like that's not water. That's what, a hydronium ion, which kills hydrangeas, which kills azaleas, right? Because that's too basic. If anything, you can get a H3O plus instead of an OH minus. But anyway, it's like that. You need a proper balance of both. And so if it's not there, then you're not going to have the fullness of whatever. I don't think Now the messenger is at the bottom of the deck. No, that's way too much. We ain't doing that today. I mean, I feel like I don't really need anything else, so I'm not going to take anything else. Bottom of the deck is this Nine of Pentacles again. She was at the bottom of the deck when the Two of Cups first came out. But this is the space of the divine feminine sort of like in her own little world because she doesn't have room here. So what we're doing is we're making room for the truth of what she is. And the closer we get to the truth of what she is, the closer we simultaneously get to the truth of what divine masculine energy is. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, because it popped into my mind, it's one of the things that I've noticed and been contemplating kind of sort of lately is the whole like our reality can inform certain things, certain like universal laws and grander sort of energies. But I don't believe personally that it's always a direct reflection of it. I don't think that it always serves us to limit spirit based on what we observe in our reality. If that makes any sense. Like, it can inform you of things, but it shouldn't limit your knowing or your ability to acquire information, right? And I guess I can feel my North Node Sagittarius acting up. So recently I heard someone say something about, well, it's what I've been saying for a long time, right? How we look at childbirth and how we tie that to what energy is feminine and what energy is masculine. When it's like, I'll just say it. It's this energy that's like, it reminds me of that other card, the distortion between senses and sensations. That day when the mystery spot. It reminds me of the mystery spot. That's what the womb is. The womb is the mystery spot. Because in some ways you could argue that it's actually the masculine that sort of creates life. It's the feminine that is the vessel for it. Right? It's like a vase doesn't give birth to water. You pour water into it and then you pour it out. Right? A vase doesn't give birth to a flower. You put in the water or the soil or whatever, and then you put the flower in. And the vase is important for holding everything together long enough for something to transpire. It's catalytic. That's what a catalyst does. You get two things, the catalyst pushes them together, holds them in place until they form whatever bonds and connections that they need to become a new molecule, and then it releases. And then it does that. That's how it changes other things, or it encourages changes in something else, but then it returns to its default configuration as soon as the process has taken place. But it wasn't that specifically, it was just that, like, sometimes we can rely so heavily on our physical understanding of something that we may not necessarily be open to a spiritual truth. And again, nature and the universe and the world around us can inform us of certain things, but it should not limit us. We shouldn't necessarily limit ourselves in a way that because things don't work a certain way physically or because we don't observe it physically, then, therefore cosmically or universally it is untrue. That's one of the things that I don't like about how we typically view like ETs or whatever. And I had a whole conversation with my dad one summer because I was like, I don't believe that aliens have to be violent and whatever just because humans have been. And my dad was like, well, Stephen Hawking said that, based on our history of conquering and what we've done to people. And I was like, what some people have done to people because I'm sure there have been plenty of places that were able to amicably sort of welcome new people. Kind of sort of what happened in wherever the conquistadors landed, right? It's like they were met with sort of respect and they were revered because they were told that some people would come. And unfortunately, I mean, history is what history had to be, I guess, in some ways, maybe. But it's like not everyone necessarily had that approach. And even if they did, I still don't believe that the way that humanity works here on Earth has to be the way that other species interacts. And he was like, well, if Stephen Hawking, the smartest man on the planet, says something, I'm going to believe it. And I'm like, well, Patrick Whitson is going to have his own mind and is going to think for himself regardless of what anybody else says. Because even the smartest man on the planet doesn't know everything. His knowledge is limited to what he's experienced on Earth. So, is it a good educated guess? Sure. But am I going to force for the universe outside of Earth to hold the same standards as this one? Like, as this planet? No. If it turns out that they do, great. But I'd rather meet it with an open mind. And I think, again, it's also, there are certain systems. Now, when it comes to be more biological or more related to nature, then it's different. But I think it's still, I don't know, it just it holds something for me. Because, if the old magics has been missing and if all this other stuff, then who's to say that, there aren't certain things that are more naturally possible that are just hidden or disguised. Anyway, that's what I got. How long is this? Ooh, 22:12. Let's go. I'll catch y'all later. I just say it's a pretty cool time to be a little bit open if you want, because I mean, a lot of stuff is in a period of flux and change. And again, I personally believe that the natural world can be an excellent indicator of certain things, but shouldn't necessarily limit them, because our understanding of the natural world is limited. So the natural world could be a true 100% accurate reflection, but do we have a 100% understanding of the natural world to the point where we hold on to certain things so rigidly and inflexibly? It feels like she's gonna start speaking. She's gonna start speaking. Oh, look, what is this? The Knight of Pentacles and Judgment. Was that the moon? No, it's the Six of Swords. See, we kind of got two ladies. I mean, it is the Pride Tarot, so it's not surprising. But it's like we got two ladies in the Six of Swords, two fellows in the Four of Cups, and then Judgment in the Knight of Pentacles. Like these two together, and then this more feminine masculine coded thing here. It feels like this is what we've been in a space of. And again, it's like if Eve was created from Adam, then anything that Eve has would have already been a part of Adam. Right? She was literally taken from his rib. Nothing extra was given to her. So whatever we associate with her is truly associated with him. So then what is truly hers? If everything that, we kind of sort of have to experience is of him. And that's this like masculine with masculine, feminine with feminine. It's like we get this single experience, or we experience a polarized energy that has been made even more extreme to make it sort of seem like there's a lot more of a disparity there than there may actually be. But it's almost like, we're experiencing two different sides of the same energy rather than experiencing two different energies. Potentially. Take it as it resonates always, right? I want to look up. So here's this Knight of Pentacles with those two jellyfish. I want to look up the Portuguese man of war spiritual meaning to see, because that's the only jellyfish I know. Portuguese man of war, spiritual meaning. Jellyfish, Portuguese man of war, blue bottle. What's this? Superstition? What's it? Oh, well. I like this one better. Symbol of acceptance and faith, but I'll go with anti-flow because, sometimes we got to take the truth. Deadly jellyfish that can be the size of a bus. They group together, making a massive organism that attack together. They kill people with their tentacles. This jellyfish has been referred to, jellyfish, as on occasion it has killed others. It is a colony in that it is not necessarily a jellyfish, but more of hydrozoans. Girl, okay. There are clusters of organisms that live together but behave together. Thus, when working together, they give out an awful sting. So what does this have to do with superstitions? The Portuguese man of war, also known as Phasalidae? I don't know how to pronounce this. Is a negative creature that can be found on beaches around the world. In fact, they are becoming more popular. So it's a feminine creature? If positive is masculine right now? As they work in a group from a spiritual perspective, if one sees a Portuguese man of war, this foretells that one will fall out with others. It is given the name because of the resemblance to a Portuguese ship. Going back to general jellyfish, they are rather unique. They surround many superstitions. This is antiflow.com, her Portuguese man of war blue bottle, because I'm just reading it straight off of this, so let me give Antiflow credit. They are rather unique. They surround many superstitions. With long tentacles, these invertebrates, they live in water. They consist of the umbrella-shaped bell as well as trailing tentacles, which are used for locomotion, and the fish capture their prey using their stinging tentacles. There are many different types of jellyfish. One of the recent deadly jellyfish is the Portuguese man of war. Okay, yeah. Let's scroll down. Wait, is that it? Here are some ancient superstitions from the 30s. I don't know if I would call the 30s ancient personally myself, but to be stung indicates bad luck. To see Portuguese man of war means that one will argue with others. If one touches a Portuguese man of war, it can suggest death will be upon them. You see a jellyfish on the beach, then a falling out will happen. To step on a jellyfish is a negative omen. To be stung by a jellyfish is a bad omen and foretells a loss of money. Okay. So this is all about, everything I see here is about hostility. So let's go to the second one. This is shamanicjourney.com. Jellyfish, power animal, symbol of acceptance and faith. The man of war being the best known. They reside in warm seas across the whole planet. During warmer seasons, they tend to move toward the poles. And during cooler months, they move toward the equator. Which is interesting because in the northern hemisphere, it would be warmer, while... So it's almost like they migrate for the... Oh, they're cold-blooded. When it's warm, they move to where it's cold. When it's cold, they move to where it's warm. And this is a card of movement. See, I feel like that to me, well, she's just here. I'll put her up here. sometimes, So to me, that speaks of like that argument, because it's almost like they're always seeking something outside of what it is that they're experiencing. And because that is the way that they operate, it always tends towards discord. And for me, that's indigo energy. That's an indigo energy that rebels. That's like a rebel without a cause indigo, not indigo in total. But it's like with some people who identify as indigos, I almost wonder if they got what it is that they were fighting for, would they then fight it? Because all they know how to do is rebel? Or because they identify so much as a rebel? I like saying it that way better. It sounds less judgmental. Because they identify so strongly as a rebel, would they rebel against their own cause and not even know it? Or not even care? If the world started shifting and changing in the way that you wanted, indigo, would you continue to rebel because that's how you identify so heavily? They go where it's cold, where it's warm. They go where it's warm when it's cold. So they're never at peace internally. And because they're not at peace internally, it positions them to cause discord outside of themselves as well. So jellyfish hold acceptance and faith, knowing and trusting that all that is will provide the necessary for them to survive. These are the only creatures that rely on movement for the sustenance of their lives. They have almost no ability to move on their own, depending on ocean currents and the directions of the wind to move it on the way it must go. That's interesting. They have almost no ability to move on their own. As they move in harmony with the currents of life, they show to us how to flow with the natural forces of Mother Earth. They show to us how to flow with the natural forces of Mother Earth. There are some ancient healers who hold the belief that the tapestry of true spiritual knowledge is held within the transparent form of the jellyfish. Jellyfish know how to survive and only eat the most necessary food. I feel like this is a beautiful energy in general, but it's coming across as very almost it's too dependent on its external reality. It holds too much to that. And so in this way, then this Knight of Pentacles, like the jellyfish, doesn't really move. It is moved. Which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? If you know about the Planet Express ship in Futurama, then it moves the universe around it. It doesn't move through the universe, which is like crazy, but it works. But there's something here that's like so easily swept up in the tides of how things transpire in the world and in your reality. And it's interesting because now it feels the least grounded of all the knights, and it's the Knight of Pentacles, so it's supposed to be the most grounded. I feel like this Knight of Pentacles can be so focused on what it wants to see that it doesn't pay attention to its surroundings. It's like the person who works so hard because of, let's say that they grew up experiencing poverty. And so now they work, and that lack mentality, that fear of not having, puts them in a position to work so hard that they don't even realize that they've already made it. They don't allow themselves to experience the knowing that what was their past will not be their future and is not their present. Judgment's at the bottom of the deck with Sappho. I don't know. With the space that we're moving to, it's just going to be important. Excuse me. It's going to be important for us to really look at the things that we've believed about the world, about, even spirituality, or especially spirituality. Well, within the space that I have any sort of, I guess, interest, quote unquote, in. Because it does almost seem like there would be some who would fight against the very things that they wish to see manifest in the world. It's almost like that like hipstery person who's like, oh, I like this band before they went mainstream, and so the only reason why you don't like them now is because they're mainstream and more people find an appreciation for it. But it's like, well, if you like something, then shouldn't you want more people to also have a like and appreciation for it? Like, why is it a bad thing? And it's like it triggers something within the hipster, like to be different, to not conform, maybe because they've never experienced acceptance. And so they pride themselves. Being outcast becomes a part of their identity. And so now, because their identity is the rebel, because their identity is the black sheep, because their identity is the outcast, they actively refuse love. They actively refuse acceptance because it challenges the identity that they've created for themselves based off of what they've experienced. And then those past experiences limit their present and future experiences. It eats away at, it decays, it rots potential. And like, I've lived that life. So I've lived that. Which is why sometimes I find it so challenging to deal with the freedom of choice. Which is why sometimes it's a little difficult for me, because it's like, well, I'm not limited by all the things that I used to be limited by. So now I actually have choice in life. Well, what do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to go? Like, I'm not stuck home anymore. I could go literally anywhere. So it's like, where do I want to go? Do I want to go for that position in the UK for a little bit? Or do I want to, establish myself a little bit here more first and then be in a position to travel and expand while I'm like closer to home, where there's a safety net if I need it? But, is that safety net if I need it? That's a little, you're not going to need it. It's just a lot of things to consider that I never had to consider before. And I think for like a lot of indigo energies, more specifically, it can be the same. When everything was so wrong, more universally or more globally, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what you're rebelling against, you're probably just in that. But as we go through these changes, right, they say we go through portal after portal after portal. We're always going through one portal or another. So something has to be changing, and eventually it's going to reach the point where the dynamic that we've experienced isn't the case, where there isn't so much that's just like rampantly wrong. But again, it's like, well, do you want to go to the point or get to the point where you are rebelling against that which you would actively sort of like work to see made possible at one point? Oh, but now spirituality is mainstream, so I'm going to go be a heathen. Okay. Sorry. But what if it reaches that point, right? It's like a joke, but it's like, well, if everyone is buying into this now, then obviously something is wrong. And I think it also it calls into question what we actually think of the collective. Because I think sometimes it's like, we can view people as, like, let's say that we think that everyone is dumb or stupid. And so anything that everyone likes is inherently dumb or stupid because people are dumb or stupid. And so, like, let's say, because, we're ascending the planet right now, more and more and more people are getting into spirituality. Then is it going to be like, and I think there is also a little bit of this, that need to sort of like be different, that need to be better, where it's like when everyone else catches up to you, now you got to go ahead and like go even further. It's just like there are so many different ways in which we really aren't in control. So many different ways that we just flow with the current. And the Knight of Pentacles is, it can be the only knight that finishes the race, but it's like if it ever finishes the race. I don't know. It's just more than anything a time to be open to the truths that are making themselves known. And we're going into a masculine heavy time at this summer solstice. But that's why I like the Hermit. Ooh, look, the moon. That's why I like the Hermit being the one that's taking. If you haven't seen, and I'm surprised if you haven't seen Miss Remy Healing's summer solstice all signs video, the Hermit's lantern is illuminating things right now, which I love because ooh, title card, boom, I'm done. I'm gonna flip that. The King of Pentacles, thank you. Speaking of a masculine master earth energy, I love that the Hermit is doing it because it's almost like there's a truth within masculine energy that maybe is as distorted as the truth of feminine energy. And so with that one being the space of like what is sort of taking center stage right now as we're going into this period of time where masculine energy is at its strongest, maybe that's another reason why so many things are in like flux and change right now, because there's a truth within that energy that's also trying to be expressed and seen. Right, that's why that Two of Cups keeps coming out. Oh, here's the King of Pentacles. We had the Queen of Wands, and here's the King of Pentacles. I'm not going to read into this because, the title card is at the bottom of the deck. Eve! You thought the week of triggers was over! Hopefully triggers will be over after tomorrow. After this, though, I'm taking it easy. I need to connect with self. I was supposed to connect with self when I was doing the water fast, and it didn't happen. And I got all of these little spiritual spaces that have been abandoned. I noticed this spider web last night. My space is cobwebby. It's like a single spider web that bridges this water tank that I have for some reason. I thought it was cute. Because it's like a little mini water cooler, and I'm obsessed with like cubicle culture. I got my little like tearaway calendar. I got my little water cooler up there. There are like pictures up. I'm obsessed with cubicle culture, but ooh, girl, that's some deep triggers. That's some deep trauma. It's like, yeah, I want the most mundane version of reality that I can experience, please. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's something out there for everybody, and like I love that. Like, my Neptune is in Capricorn, I guess. So that's what I dream of. And I'm a Cap midheaven, Cap 10th house. Um, but yeah, there's this single thread of a spider web that bridges the ceiling to this water cooler. I was like, okay, as long as I don't see the spider, I'm fine. But yeah, that's what I got. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Were there really? Somebody just sent me a spiderweb emoji the other day too. I think it was my buddy. I might have to check that out. So yeah, I'm going to attempt to more intentionally utilize all those spaces that I so painstakingly created and was so graciously given that I just proceeded to not use after a while. There's some internal resistance that I have to work through as well. And I've already talked about a lot of it. I still don't necessarily know. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, I gotta go. There's a lot of stuff to make sure. I guess I'm prepared and ready um, for what I am next. Feeling sort of guided and led to do. I need to be more. Um, and there's a lot of love lore. Find more at almanac.com. I do love lore. Hmm. I'm not gonna go to almanac.com, but I do love lore. There's some evolution and some growth that I still need to do. And I think those spaces, like anchoring myself in those spaces and seeing how I want to allow that to present itself to be utilized is what's on the menu for me because it's the time. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day as well. I hope your internet gets fixed because that would be amazing, I'm sure. And I'll catch you. I'll catch you and everyone else whenever I see you again. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that you're not so afraid of a little challenge or a lot of challenge or maybe sometimes seemingly unbearable amount of challenge that you keep yourself from the blessing and liberation and growth and expansion that awaits on the other side of it. I don't know how long we can continue to play as small as we've been playing. And we've been playing like a major league game, but it's like, thinking like Space Jam, There are so many teams that are absolutely, tough on earth, but then you go fight the Monstars and it's like, what? Now you got to step your game up to intergalactic levels where before you just had to be good on earth. And it's not in a space of competition or anything like that, right? It might sound like that. And like honestly, if I'm being completely 100% honest as I'm talking about like everything that I'm talking about, especially within this space today, I'm also like self-analyzing. I'm asking myself like am I doing these things? Is this for me as well? I try to check myself just as much as it may appear that I try to check other people. I want us to be the fullness of who we can be. And I also understand that our history hasn't necessarily been the most conducive to us being that fullness. So, you know, I'll catch you later.